is just fantastic. Captain's Log, Subdate 211201.4. While I, being English, am partial to a nice cup of Earl Grey, I am not such a fan of something with a similar name, which can be considered asinine gossip from a vulture with about as much integrity as a dissected gallbladder. Hello, my beautiful dumplings, and welcome to another glorious day of passive-aggressive internet bullying of cash cows that I love nothing more than to poke with my big internet drizzled in custard spotted peen. With today's dose of literally everything that you need to know, even if 99.9% is remarkably inconsequential, we shall be delving into a community that is totally not a community, with many individuals handling the hate, as well as Lance Armstrong handled competing fairly. Lies, denial, manipulation, and salt. 4 key traits that handily fall under the umbrella term of cope. That aptly describes every single channel that falls within this community, and that is what we shall be looking at today. I am of course talking of the T community. So what is a T-channel? According to the polite version that I've written down, a T-channel comments on the recent goings-on within the online space, more notably on altercations between 2 or more peoples, having disagreements, or with individuals that continue to entertain, either through repeated mistakes or via behavior deemed problematic by the standards set from the year we inhabit. Aww, that's lame. What a T-channel actually is a grifting dishonest hack that exists solely to dump on the failings of others, create problems where more often than not there are none, nitpick at details that somehow turn into a 30-minute 10-ad video, bring about the fall of larger creators who the respective T-channel has chosen as their vaunted lol cow of choice, I mean cash cow, I mean pinata, that they then sponge off for views, because they can't think of anything less original to copy, like the skeptics of old, to then fill up their coffers with because they're doing their civic duty. And before I forget, while they are entertaining for other reasons, they are there to make a divide between creators and audiences large enough for the casual viewers, who we shall now dub lemmings, to fall into like a Grand Canyon of lol cow crap. How's that for a definition? Other remarks that could best describe what a T-channel is: a detriment to the collective of humanity's mental health. And to support this, many T-channels do not do their own research. Instead, what they do is leech off other T-channels who have already gotten something wrong, but will run with it as if fact until they themselves are called out by enough people for this intellectual laziness and dishonesty. So they run with it like fake news, like the mainstream media does with almost everything that we all know they get wrong on a near daily basis. And when you really think about what a T-channel is, let's face it, they contribute as much good to the internet as battery acid does at solving climate change. Off the top of my head, I can name 4. Trisha Paytas, Gabby Hanna, James Charles, Eugenia, I can't say her name, I'll get demonetized. In each person's case, there are some serious allegations, yes, but these are the vaunted pinatas that have been chosen to carry the T community to the promised land of an early heart attack, along with a complete loss of sanity, hair, dignity, and appetite. Just so we are clear here, you, the T community channels that do this kind of crap, you know you're the living embodiment of bad faith, right? With Trisha Paytas, it's a bit of a mystery as to why people still indulge her. Her trollish and trivializing of literally every identity on the planet's behavior is hardly something new. Yet it seems to be that she is used to pad out any video commenting on what is dubbed T. She can be regarded as the gatekeeper to the rest of the pinatas. Gabby Hanna was a sensationalist storyteller that got into music and had a history of ignorance and poor decisions. Since she became more of a notable target, because the T community don't seem to know where the line is nor when to stop, she nuked her channel of almost all her content. Well done, lads. You lost a pinata. Although you've still managed to make videos on her, which is astonishing. Well, I can't say anything on her. I'll just be accused of being pro-Anna. So instead we'll reference Mr. Poor Decisions and his inability to not get cancelled every time he is alleged to have hit on someone younger than him or just crossed the line allegedly entirely. And I have to say allegedly, because otherwise I get into a lot of trouble, don't I? So with this in mind, perhaps we should briefly mention some of the more notable tea channels, all of whom will undoubtedly say they're not a tea channel. So what I'm going to do is, I'm not going to mention you by name. I'm going to give you a super secret code name. So for example, we start with Reptar. Then we go to Stupendously Petty. Then we go to Defamation Noodles. And finally, of the new age of tea channels rising stars, Fruit Pastel. Shall we now talk about your ability to problem solve? Because honestly, you're up there with tech support from the IT crowd of "Have you tried turning it off and on again?" So with problem solving, there is this belief held by many that to be involved in some form of commentary, you need to be able to offer solutions to problems. Tea channels, as a form of commentary, diverge from this in favor of stoking flames, clickbaiting bigger names, and proving themselves no better than the Storytime channels. One of those pinatas was a Storytime channel at one point, they must have learnt this from her, to keep that viewership and constant fight rolling on. Greed is, after all, a powerful motivator, and as they are intentionally ignorant to accountability, or shift the goalpost to avoid it entirely, they can just keep on stoking, knowing their coffers will fill off of someone else's back, and not from anything original produced by themselves. So when it comes to the likes of Gabby Hanna, and Eugenia, whose name I can't say because if I continue I'll get demonetized, the Peanut Gallery can simply ignore the haters and block those critical of their ideas, while they sip on their left-handed pumpkin spice brain force chai lattes, and then go on to weaponize mental health as a suitable shield from criticism. Or just block like a real Chad. The tea community do have one skill though, when it comes to problem solving, and that is to simply get rid of the problem by screeching at their audiences to act in their defense because out of sight, out of mind, and because the feelings of others should totally trump YouTube's terms of service, and further enable these poisonous actions that could be applied to literally anyone that causes any form of distress to another person. And yes, I'm very much aware of what a false equivalence is. I am still not wrong, and you know it. When called out on this, there are three options. Block and double down, going so far as to state reasons for why they will not engage with the criticism, even though the vast majority of it is legit, and the reasons given usually center around a prejudice they have for the creator that is holding them to the mark, which is a bit ironic, don't you think? The second option is to block and scorched earth after retracting. Bit gauche. But there is a third option. Simply rebrand from tea to another form of commentary, like Machine Gun Kelly from rap to rock, while learning nothing from the errors that brought them to this new form of commentary that has changed exactly 0% and is still them showcasing some of the finest forms of overly fixated personalities 101. To best demonstrate just how vapid tea channels are, we are going to use clips from one video, because we only need one. The video in question comes from the channel of Fruit Pastel. The context is, she wants to protect her viewers, and of course everyone else, from the content produced by Eugenia, whose name I can't say, and so she, like many other tea channels, pushed for her to be dealt with by YouTube. When YouTube failed to do so, she believed it was because YouTube is making money off her, and because they perhaps agree with Eugenia, whose name I can't say, and are not interested in helping viewers that are harmed by Eugenia's content by removing Eugenia entirely. Fruit Pastel is the living embodiment of condescension and bad takes, so do buckle up. If you do happen to have a tinfoil hat, it's probably best to put it on now to stop those pesky electromagnetic waves from penetrating your brains.
So recently, as I'm sure a lot of you are already aware, there's a creator who made a video regarding my stance on Eugenia's content either getting removed or age restricted in order to protect children and minors from the dangers of pro-Anna and Thinspo content. While it is certainly fine for people to have a different opinion than me, although my stance is also YouTube's stance, which we'll get into in a little bit, this creator went out of his way to paint me in the literal worst light that he possibly could. Like, I started watching the video and there was zero objectivity.
If you can look through the arrogance for 1 second, the first thing you notice in her response to Willie Mack is quite simply, my feelings.
I get that there's kind of a lull in the commentary community right now, and there's not a lot for people to talk about, but trying so hard to grasp at this situation, this manufactured drama, in order to have something to talk about is really sad. Another point that I found really interesting is his insistence that I am a tea channel. Now, if you look at this clip from his video, what do you notice about every content creator on the screen right now? they're all either a woman or they're LGBT.
Do you remember the points I raised in problem solving? Yeah, shields. Really handy. Oh, and as I have never disclosed my sexuality, good luck trying to use it against me.
Now, before we get into the specific video in question, I do just want to clarify that I have never, ever advocated for a single person to go and send any hate towards Eugenia Cooney or harass her at all. That has just not happened.
You do realize though, when you say things like this, your audience are going to take it as a sign of approval. That said, why should I bother wasting my time with you, as you have correctly been pointed out as nothing more than a hypocrite? Because you've also tweeted out this: blood, hands, pot kettle, black you?
I have told people to not go and comment on her videos. I've told people specifically to not harass her. And if you feel like you must do something, you can block and report the content. What my belief is, and what my belief always has been, is that people who weaponize their EDs in the form of thinspo or pro-ana content, who use it for shock value and for profit with zero regard for who they're influencing, should be removed or age restricted. Eating disorders are characterized by abnormal or disturbed eating habits which negatively affect a person's health. And YouTube agrees with me. And I know this because they took down one of my videos on Eugenia Cooney. So why did my video on Eugenia get taken down, but Eugenia's own videos get to stay up? Now, keep in mind, the only thing that was in my video was me sitting in a chair doing some analysis on why body checking and thinspo is bad, but Eugenia's video, which had the same content except without the disclaimers and without the educational stuff about EDs and the dangers of it, the only thing that I can possibly think of is that I just don't generate the same amount of ad revenue that Eugenia does.
You know, I think I've just realized I could have done the entire Content Constable using that series of clips alone and nothing more, because it best demonstrates the vast majority of the channels. Certainly the popular ones, so not this one. Sorry, commentary channel, my mistake. I'm starting to understand now why, after it was so well received, after your channel grew exponentially because of it, why you decided to then do exactly what I said in problem solving you would do and move away from YouTube commentary, as you've dubbed it, to left-leaning social commentary and media analysis. We wish you the best in your future endeavors. All commentary make bad videos, make bad comments, bad tweets, anywhere where they are present and they produce some form of content for the masses. They will make a mistake. I am no exception. It is in our nature to screw up, and for many of us, we handle it in a similar way. You can either learn from it, acknowledge your mistake, apologize and move on. You can bury your head in the sand and erase, or you can try and take the high road, a high road that is only there because it has been elevated by your own ass-generated smug. For some interesting takes on various topics, let us now go to the Twitters and see what these commentary channels have to say.
And people are going to be compelled towards your opinions, and they're going to be more open to listening to what you believe and why you believe them. Especially if you've got your shit together, you're able to deliver your message in ways that are respectful and respectable. And if you seem happy, if you have harmonious relationships with the people in your life, if you seem healthy. But if you're just a miserable person who, spends your time on the internet bullying people, and, you're in health all the way around, you're not happy in your life and in your relationships at all, why the fuck would anyone listen to you?
That, for those who don't know, is Hello Leash. Her overarching point is, your health will thereby determine whether or not your opinion should be considered important and or matter. And as we're with you, another bad take from you. A petition to get rid of Gabby Hanna. I see those petitions resurfacing. How adorable. But don't worry, you're not the only person who pushed one. Fruit Pastel did as well, as did Reptar. Now Reptar did admit guilt. He did delete over 300,000 views, which leads me to believe perhaps it was stuff that referenced it. It also appears he's not been active on YouTube for well over a month. Some because they believe he's been working on his school. Not my business, don't care enough, it's just coincidental. You've not been around since you've been chastised for this. There was a content creator called Claire who tried to push The idea, using legal precedent and law, that perhaps people should take legal action against Eugenia, whose name I can't say. You have iNabber, who, while this isn't a tea-related tweet, made a rather interesting, let's call it a joke charitably, went on to delete it because he got a fair amount of backlash for it. If you don't know the reference, Rittenhouse is the reference. And finally back to Bell, Fruit Pastel. Also, I'm open to debating, discussing Eugenia, whose name I can't pronounce, with Willie Mack. Fun fact, you tweeted that while having him blocked. When he then criticized you for this, you tried to use this as a gotcha against him, claiming that this was proof he wouldn't be down to debate you. I'm starting to see why you moved away from commentary. Do I need to talk about doxing or the whole savior complex thing? What about the investigative journalism that is so stellar top-notch that some of you have ended up getting sued for it? With these in mind, of course, nothing reeks more of justified and self-righteous and godly more than bad tactics. I think I'm running out of steam and ideas for this video, so instead I'll conclude with the following statement. If you expected an essay-style video going into everything and debunking everything, no. You came to the wrong video. If you thought I was a drama, current event commentary channel, you were wrong. And if I missed anyone, like iNabber, who is the living embodiment of bad takes and denial, then do let me know in the comments down below. I have no idea who I'm doing next because I hadn't thought ahead. Thanks for joining, people. See you next time.